the volume.
Turn up the volume.
You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
Hey there, BBN. Welcome to the first podcast for BBN Ladies Unleashed. This is your host, Salena, and I am here with Michele. You can find her on Twitter at Forever Big Blue. Michele, how are you today?
I am doing quite well, thank you. This is really exciting to get back into the podcasting world, actually.
Yeah, you had a podcast before, is that right?
Actually, I've had, I say 2.1 because back before everybody and their brother had a podcast, back in 2014, I had a show. It was live on Monday nights. It was Big Blue Views. Great. That's when I found out how many national people are willing to actually come and talk to you, like Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News, and even had Jeff Goodman and Jay Williams. I mean, it's kind of I had some people, but I went on with that for about 4 years, and then finally it was a whole lot more work, less automation back then.
Yeah.
And I took a break, and then Curtis Birch gave me an opportunity to take over his Wildcat Country podcast when he went to another platform. And my podcast partner was not real helpful, so we didn't last very long. And I was like, yeah, I'm taking a real break now. And then a couple of years, that's what happened. And then I was with Jay Hayes, who now has Religiously Kentucky. He and I had Rocking Kentucky Blue for about a year and a half. So I love the podcasting thing. I kept saying, I'm going to get back into it when the time is right. And this opportunity popped up and the time is right.
Yes, we love that. So BBN, I am sure, if you're not to my tweets out there, we've created here a women's only podcast for UK sports. We will cover all sports, not just your main basketball, football. We'll touch on soccer, baseball, softball, volleyball, everything. Because I'm sure, as you noticed, there's not a lot of women podcasters or, out there in general. So we thought it was a good time to go ahead and kind of bust that space wide open. And Michele here is joining me for the first episode. And like I said, we're very, very excited.
Indeed. And if we're going to talk about women podcasters, I will give a shout out to my good friend, Carrie Lewis, who has a podcast, Girls Beer Sports. And they are some of the most knowledgeable football people you would ever want to talk with. And Carrie is just outstanding, and she's helped a lot of people learn how to do their own podcast. But I want to give her a shout out because she does an outstanding job, and you can find her, as she always says, wherever good podcasts are free.
Perfect. All right, Michele. Well, all right, let's talk about some women's basketball right now. So they're coming off of their most recent game against Queens after, they had a beatdown against UNC. That was not a great game for them, to say the least.
And it came on the heels of, the same time that the men lost to Clemson. It was a bad week.
Yeah, it was a bad week for the basketball world, I would say. But they had a great bounce back game against Queens. They won 87-45. That was on Monday. Next up, they play Purdue this Saturday at 5 p.m. I believe.
Gee, that sounds like a really popular time, Saturday.
I know, right? I think, they're at Purdue on Saturday as well. So that is where they're going. How are you feeling about the women's team this year?
Well, I was cautiously optimistic after, when I knew we were going to have a coaching search. I'm like, maybe, we can't do much worse than we've done the last 2 years. And bringing Kenny Brooks in, my goodness, he just injected energy and just the whole positive attitude, and he got some quality players in there. And the UNC beat down, I'd rather have one of those happen in December when you have time to, like, this is why this happened. This is what we have to do to address it. And I think that he is totally capable of making the adjustments that he needs to make. And I'm really excited to see where they go. When they get into conference play, that's going to be the litmus test for this team.
Yeah, I agree. He has brought in unbelievable talent in his first year. Obviously, some players follow him from Virginia Tech, which is to be expected. He's a very popular coach, but he also brought in some players from overseas as well. So a really good first year roster for him. But as you said, the SEC will definitely be the test, because it's a gauntlet, pretty much like the men's side is. Like, it's tough teams up and down the board. Like, it's crazy.
It might even be tougher than the men because you keep having national champions come out of the SEC.
This is true. This is very true.
Because I've had just about enough of Dawn Staley in South Carolina. I'm just saying.
I know stuff for everybody, but she coached her butt off, though. Let's be fair. She can coach her butt off. So
she does. But now, back in my media days when I used to write for Cameron Mills and I would get to cover games, I covered a lot of the women's games. Dawn Staley scares me. She frightens me. I mean, because when we would have a game at Rupp, the media seats would be like right there on the floor under the basket.
Right.
And we were down at the end of the South Carolina bench. And those timeouts, she'd come out in those 4-inch spike heels, and she'd be yelling because one of her players messed up. And, oh, man, I was like, man, she's going to come over and kill me. I know she is because I may have looked at her wrong. But you're right. She coaches her butt up, and you can't deny she knows what she's doing, and she knows how to get the best out of her players. Mm-hmm. She knows how to win.
She does. Yeah, you've got Dawn Staley, you've got Kim at LSU. Tennessee's coming on strong. I mean, yeah, I mean there are good teams up and down the SEC. I'm excited to see them SEC play for sure. I think the bigs probably need to stop doing the fadeaways so much when they have the ball in their hands.
Yeah, they need to definitely be more aggressive and take it to the rack. Just go there. They've actually, I think, unless I'm remembering a stat wrong, I think they've been shooting free throws pretty well. Draw the fouls. The fouls. Don't keep. Yeah, I agree with you totally on that.
Yeah, I've noticed that's a habit. They just kind of do fadeaways, but when you get that SEC play, they will get that blocked, I think. But also women's volleyball today. They beat Missouri in 4 sets to win the match, and they are firing all cylinders right now.
It is very difficult to beat any team 3 times in a year. Mm-hmm. That's what happened with us in Arkansas last year in the tournament. We'd beaten them twice, and you get the 3rd time, and they cleaned our clock. Mm-hmm. And I got a little concerned today in the 3rd set because they let off the gas, they lost focus, whatever they did, they just let that 3rd set just get away in no time.
Quickly, very quickly.
It was just like, what the heck? I mean, it's 14-4. Well, yeah. But they did come back, at least make it a respectable-ish score. But they came out in the 4th set, and it was like, yeah, enough of this.
Yeah, we're done. We're done with this right now.
and Brooklyn DeLay, I mean, she shows match after match after match why she was the SEC Player of the Year.
Oh, she is. To be a sophomore, she is so good. She is so good. And she's only going to get better, which is kind of scary to think about, to be fair.
It's not scary for us, but it should be scary for the rest of the conference. Right.
We're supposed to be scared. But yeah, so, 8 straight SEC championships for the volleyball team. Skinner is rolling that program right now. It's insane what he's built.
Mitch Barnhart gets a lot of crap. Rightfully so, mind you. He's done enough of stupid things. We're not going to talk about football coach contracts. We're not going to talk about that because that might raise my blood pressure. But the things he doesn't get enough credit for, I don't think, is Craig Skinner and Nick Mingione, Rachel Lawson. I mean, for every clunker hire he's had 3 others that have really elevated UK athletics to where we're contending in the Director Cup each year, which that used to be a pipe dream.
Right. Sometimes you just have to have those clunkers to find good things, but they have been stellar clunkers. That's the thing.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, Mitch either gets it really, really right, or he gets it really, really, really wrong.
Kind of in between there. Yeah. So women's volleyball, they play Pitt tomorrow, I believe at 1:00. And if they win that game, they're going to the Final Four. Pitt will be a very tough matchup for them. They are very, very good.
They are, and one of their strengths, which was the same thing that we encountered with Missouri today over on the right side, their right side hitter. Mm-hmm. We just kept letting them score and score and score. And that's one of Pitt's strengths, is over on the right side. So they have got to find a way to adjust and make the stops there. I mean, Pitt, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they the overall number 1 seed?
I believe so, yes.
So, they're not going to be an easy out, although Oregon, bless their hearts, they tried their best today, and they made it interesting. They for sure did that, but Pitt did what great teams do, and they came back and finished it off in the 5th. But I know I'll be watching tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I'll be watching. I watched today at work. I had it on my phone when I was working, so that will be a thing that happens tomorrow too. So, all right, moving on. Obviously, it is a Louisville Hate Week here in the Bluegrass State. If you are a Kentucky fan, because the boys play Louisville on Saturday. How do you feel about that matchup?
Actually, well, Louisville struggled last night as well with their game. Should have been an easy one. They struggled. So their fans couldn't say much about us in Colgate. I mean, it didn't stop them, but, but they shouldn't have said much. I do think, and one thing that Mark Pope is outstanding at, because he's a smart man. I mean, a lot of people forget when he was at Kentucky, he was a candidate for a Rhodes Scholar. You don't get that easy.
Right.
He could have gone to medical school. No, he decided he'd be a basketball coach. Now, maybe that wasn't the smartest thing. Who knows? But he is so analytical. And when you hear him breaking down games, and the way his mind just, like, he knows all these numbers and these percentages, and he knows how to talk to his players. He knows how to be encouraging but firm. He knows how to keep it positive and still get results. And the players love him. And that's a big, big deal. It's a huge deal. So I think Kentucky has the edge. You don't have to know about the rivalry. I mean, like, okay, Travis and Trent, they know all about it, and I'm sure they'll share that with their teammates. But you don't have to have the whole intimate knowledge of history of that rivalry for it to be important, because one thing Mark Pope has done repeatedly, and he said it, and the players have echoed this, the Cats' biggest game is the next game.
Yes, he has said that multiple times, press conferences and so on beforehand. So it kind of, and he always coaches that, but just makes me think about Colgate, right? So obviously we're coming off a pretty tiring, emotional week before, traveling to Clemson, first loss of the season, hard-fought game, very physical game, coming back, then going across the country to Gonzaga. That game was obviously also very emotional, very physical, very tiring, and then come back again, and then to play Colgate. So, you kind of have to wonder, because we all saw what happened. Colgate got really hot. The boys lacked some energy. Was it tired legs from all the travel and the hard games? Was it kind of, looking ahead to Louisville? A combination of everything. We are down 2 starters right now as well. Not 2 starters, but 2 point guards right now with, Butler and Creasa out. So, yeah, I mean, I guess yesterday's game was a little different than I think what we had been expecting.
It was, but I really don't think It was looking ahead. I don't think Pope even entertains that as a possibility with his team. Now, being a little tired, I will, jet lag is very real. If anybody's ever been on the West Coast and you come back here, it can be several days before it feels right. It's a bizarre kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But not just being down 2 point guards, but you got Kerr Kriisa. Okay, he is, even when he's not on the floor, he's an emotional leader on this team.
Yes.
And now granted, he was high and FaceTiming Coach Pope, which that was one of the funniest stories I think I've ever read. He's like telling everybody how much he loves them.
I wish Pope would have Instagram Live that so bad.
I know, that was hilarious. Like, he said, I gotta be honest, Coach, I'm high as a kite. But his presence on the bench, because Kurt, he doesn't have to be on the floor to be a contributor. Mm-hmm. And you see it when they have timeouts, he's on the bench. He's dialed in whether he's on the floor or not. He hears every word that Pope says, and he's telling the other players and what they need to do. And I think when you don't have that on the bench, that is a difference.
Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that.
And Colgate, like I said, maybe they haven't. Somebody's, well, they really suck. Well, maybe, but they've also made it to 5 NCAA tournaments, and you don't do that without having a little bit of something.
That is, they can shoot. They showed that one. They can shoot the lights out if they wanted to.
And people that were getting all disgusted, I was like, man, do you all never, it's the same thing with the Gonzaga game. Do you people not watch this team? I mean, I get it. For the last few years, we have been programmed that if it's close or we're down at halftime, adjustments will not be made.
Mm-hmm.
And now they are. And they are the right adjustments. And they are productive adjustments. And so halftime score doesn't mean anything to me. What matters to me is the score when there's no time left on the clock. And Pope is such a fighter. And I don't know. He didn't beat up on the guys for having a bad night. Mm-hmm. He's like, he said they have weird energy. And when he said that, I'm thinking, I really think a lot of that is Kerr being not there. So, I mean, even if he's high as a kite, have him on the bench Saturday. Let him FaceTime the Big Blue Nation. That'll be fine.
Put him on the video board for everyone.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, y'all.
No, I would agree. Kerr is his own special brand of energy. I think I call him our psycho very affectionately all the time on Twitter, because he does little things and he gets so excited, and he's so passionate, and he's like a little spark plug off the bench. He comes in and the ball's in his hand and he is taking off as fast as possible, but on the other end, right? Like he is running and running and running and I definitely agree where that not having him there could have led to some weird energy. I know Pope did mention him being on the bench once he kind of gets up and moving around a little bit until he starts playing again. So we'll have all the psycho back, so it'll be fine.
And good news, Butler did participate today in workouts, light workouts, but at least that means he's back on the floor. So that is exciting news, because that is so much stability. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I think, as crazy as it sounds, Amari Williams getting off to such a fast start last night, I think overall that kind of set us back, because they kept starting to look for him, and he's like, well, I don't usually do this. It was just not what you normally do. And I think it got disjointed then. Mm-hmm. So, in the future they'll know, but I was very encouraged, very, very, very encouraged with Trent. I mean, I think he did a fabulous job last night. He is ready to get some good backup minutes on this team.
Yeah, he plays he's a true freshman, obviously. He plays very loose when he's on the floor, right? He doesn't seem tight. Now, does he get lost sometimes? Of course he does, right? Like, of course, it's going to happen. But his shots don't seem forced, right? He doesn't try to do too much on the court, except last night, Pope was telling him to punch it, and he shot it anyways. But he made it, though, so it's fine.
Yes, it was like he said, and then he made it, so, okay, we're good. And he said that having that amount of confidence, because you can make that shot, that speaks a lot. He says he's a very, very hard worker and been taking everything in. I think Travis is not quite ready for the big stage. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because this is a much bigger stage, and you've got so many expectations on you because of your high school career. And I don't think, Reed Shepherd could handle it, but not everybody is a Reed Shepherd.
He's one of a kind.
If everybody can, a lot of people won't admit this, although they should. Reed Shepherd couldn't play defense for 2 cents for the first 3 months of the season.
This is true. And even Reed Shepherd looked lost against Oakland. So, I mean, even he had a freshman moment.
Exactly.
So it happens. And I would agree with Travis Perry. I also think he is learning to be a point guard under Pope as well, which is a completely different position than he played in high school. So he's trying to branch out on his skill set. But obviously, being the leading scorer in Kentucky basketball history for boys, he can play. Like, that's not in doubt whatsoever. But I think Big Blue Nation needs to remember that Trent and Travis are not like a typical freshman that we're so used to seeing, right? These are your 3-4 year players that will be here their entire career, and we get to watch them grow in Kentucky, which is always really special. That doesn't always happen for us.
And I'll take something back a few years, maybe back to the Mark Pope years, kind of, because I'm old, as I told you before we got on here. I'm old. I'm the senior stateswoman of this BBN Ladies Unleashed group. I'm the first person calls me grandma gets smacked down. But anyway.
You heard that here first. Don't call her grandma.
I am a grandmother, but I'm BB, which stands for Big Blue, BB.
Okay.
But Ron Mercer, who came in with all the accolades, all the talent, it wasn't until we got to the NCAA tournament, and more specifically, the last couple of games in the Final Four, that all of a sudden Ron Mercer became Ron Mercer. Mm-hmm. And he was expected to be that level of a player from the beginning, and he was hit and miss. He was lost. He didn't always do defense. He didn't always rebound. But you put him in a national championship game. Hey, coach, I'm ready now.
Wake up.
He actually did say that to Patino. I'm ready. You can put me in now. And I was like, well, you could have done this earlier, but fine. If you're ready, we're good. We're good with it.
All right. I guess if you're ready, we're ready too then.
And like I said, Travis is going to have one of those aha moments. It's all going to, all the things he's doing, it's all going to click. He's going to come out there. He's going to kick butt. And, well, how come you didn't give him more minutes? Or whatever.
Oh God, that's going to happen. It already does happen. It always happens. I think Facebook is undefeated for comments of that nature.
Oh, well, see, yeah. When I go to a post, I have a motto: don't read the comments.
Sometimes I have to, though, Michelle. They're such a train wreck. I have to read them.
Well, I start and then I go back. There's a reason I don't read the comments, and this is besides the butchered grammar. Oh my God. I done seen that. Yeah, you did. Okay. Hop on your little train and go on home somewhere. But it's always something, right?
But no, I think the matchup on Saturday, Louisville's only playing 7 or 8 scholarship players right now. They've got a lot out due to injury. So I think, my personal opinion, as long as Butler is back, which I'm pretty sure he will be, I just have a feeling he'll be playing on Saturday. I think we just run them out of the gym. That's what I think.
And I agree, as long as Butler gets significant time. Mm-hmm. If we have to just put him in for limited spurts, and And I get that too. It's your rival, but at the same time, you don't want to lose the rest of your season.
Right.
But yeah, he is just such an intelligent point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he does a little too much. We know that. But most of the time, his too much is just enough because he's just that good.
In the open court, he is really good. He's really good at open court, good at track to the rim. He's done that multiple times, multiple games. But, I mean, not only do we need him just because he's our floor general, but, I mean, I don't know how much you watched of Louisville, but Chucky Hepburn? That man is a defensive maniac. He's on the ball, he's in the paint, he's back on the ball, he's across the court. Like, he flies around on defense. And that can be a nuisance to somebody who is not used to playing point guard and not used to that pressure on them. So, that's why I also think why it's important to have Butler, at least not to play, maybe not 75 minutes, but to at least like steady the ship if it gets a little rocky sometimes.
Yeah, and we need a way to get back to his little bulldog defensive play he started out the season.
Mm-hmm.
He's been maybe I don't want to say lackadaisical, but I don't think he's been quite as nose on the ball as he had been, but that's also coming back. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't play hard, just like he's been like a step off.
Yeah.
Or something, but I have full confidence in him because he's just one of my favorites. He's just got such a great attitude. I love his post-game interviews. He's a joy to listen to. So I think that's good. I also, the one who's been coming around the last few games, Andrew Carr.
Oh, yes. He always shows up in big games. It seems like the bigger the game, the more he shows up. Like, the first game was the Duke game, right? Showed up huge. Consecutive game, took over second half, right? Yeah, whenever it's big game, Andrew Carr he's going to be on point, it feels like.
And I have to say it because I laughed about this. Had a friend of mine, we were having DM one night, and Kentucky was whoever we were playing. We were boat racing them. And I said, and all of a sudden, the players' hairstyles didn't matter.
Yes. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter. Yes.
Which irritated me. Well, maybe if Antonio Reeves didn't spend so much time on his hair, he could learn how to, whatever. It was exhausting. Almost as exhausting, and I know this is a touch off topic, but this one just chapped my buns. The people from the Ohio State University who have a bill introduced in their legislature to make it a felony to plant an opponent's flag in midfield on their football field.
Soft as Charmin. Okay, listen.
When was the last time they had a national championship? Can someone remind me?
Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments when that was.
Yeah, because I know it's been a hot minute.
I mean, better yet, when is the last time they beat Michigan, right?
Well, exactly. But, if you don't want the flag planted, there's a simple solution. Win the freaking game.
No, I agree. That was one of the, I guess, more out there sports things that happened today. Kind of like Bill Belichick coming to coach UNC. Hello? What? What happened there?
I like this. However many years he's coached, the number of years that he didn't have Tom Brady, that he had 8 losing seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he was that brilliant of a coach. He just had that brilliant of a quarterback.
Listen, we can't talk about that. People get upset. Okay?
Well, I know.
Upset.
Well, thank goodness he didn't go to Tennessee. That's all they needed, some more.
Oh,
they remain the leader in what if championships.
They remain the leader of talking smack and remember to a Final Four. That's what they're.
Oh, I know. I absolutely. Yes. Like, oh, look at y'all gonna flame out in the Sweet 16. I'm like, and you?
What have you done? Hello? Please remind me.
I mean, here's the sad part. We have we have more Final Fours than more national championships than they have Final Fours.
Well, they don't have any Final Fours.
Exactly.
So.
I could just say that we have more than this than you, just like we have more SEC championships than the rest of the conference combined.
Yeah, we are the standard. That is it. But I mean, speaking of that, I am very happy though that the conference has came along. But now I'm like, well, dang, like this conference is crazy. Like top to bottom good. Like what?
It's back in the day, again, I'm old. But back in the day, we had like Sonny Smith at Auburn. We had, Dale Brown. That was legendary. And he could take maybe not the greatest LSU teams, but they would make them very competitive. And I know every time we had LSU on the schedule, that was like, hold your breath and what's going to happen. But we had more coaching rivalries than team rivalries back in those days. Now, what is fascinating to me, and I did read some comments. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. But there were some people from other fan bases who, I can't stand Kentucky, but man, I really like watching them with Mark Pope.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you said that, and it's out here on the it's on the interwebs. We're all going to throw this one up in your face later.
The internet is forever, Jack, on it. Don't you know that people know this?
But it's, and then the last little, since I'm just covering random peeves here, I won't mention one media member by name because it's somebody that's very well known, well respected, well liked, but they've irritated the crap out of me for the last 2 or 3 years because they're constantly doing this passive aggressive stuff with Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Just poking things, wanting to get a negative reaction about Cal. And I'm like, you're supposed to be promoting the university.
Mm-hmm.
And we got enough fans that do this. You don't need somebody in the media doing it. And I think those posts will disappear for a little while. But all these people that every single game, something, Cal wouldn't have done this. Cal wouldn't have done that. He's gone, people.
Right.
Don't need to know what Arkansas did. Just like the other night, to Kentucky Brando, he tweeted like, he said, I would not have even known Arkansas was playing except for you people out here in the comments. And I'm like, I said, I wouldn't have known they played either except for reading your tweet. Because it does not matter to me at all what they do. I have no ill will towards Cal. It was time for him to leave. He did. And I will always, forever give him all the credit in the world for the great things he did for our school, for the great things he did for the state, for Lexington. And it was time for him to move. And that's fine. We all get that. And he was stubborn and he wouldn't change things. And we get that too. But we don't have to say it in every thread of every game in perpetuity. We just don't need to. Embrace what we have in the here and now and let that be the focus.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I get it. Like you say that, it's so funny because everybody wanted him to move on. And then now that he has, it's like, that's all that people talk about. And I'm like, okay, we sound like a jealous ex-girlfriend right now. Okay. Like we wanted him gone, right? He left. We didn't have to pay his buyout, right? We didn't have to pay that. Otherwise he would still be here. So let him go. Let him go. We have Mark Pope now. We have his team. They are kicking butt. 2 top 10 wins already this season. Like, let's just celebrate what we have in the now and just remember the past for what it was. Like, that's all we need to do.
And yeah, I'm so sad that Tyler Ulis went with it, but I get it.
I do. I get it too. Yeah.
When Cal's not being stubborn, he really does have people don't want to give him credit for having a great coaching mind, but he did, because for years he had to reinvent his offense every year because he had a whole bunch of different players and he had to have a new style. And something happened after COVID that he stopped inventing and he tried to do the square peg round hole thing. Okay. It happens. And but like I said, I wish him the best. He's always been a class act in my book. And just Mark Pope, and my goodness, he and Leanne, is that not the sweetest thing to see them after games?
Oh my goodness. I love their love. Okay, I love it. I love their love so much. Like, they are so supportive of each other. His daughters are always also supportive too, but I love that he finds her after every game, especially like a really big win, and they just like celebrate together, like on the court. Like, it's just the sweetest it is.
It's a very real and very touching moment because there's nothing forced about that. It's just she's that happy for him, and he's that happy to see her. And I will make a confession. I mean, a lot of people, when they first announced Pope as the coach, there was that first 24 hours of, what were you thinking, Mitch?
Yes.
And I saw Cameron Mills. Like I said, I was a writer for him for years. We actually very good friends. And so I saw him post some positive things. So I sent him a text. I said, look, I know you and Mark, good friends. Y'all were teammates. You know him better than most. Help me feel good about this hire. Mm-hmm. And he said, you're not going to find anybody that loves their players more, that will be more encouraging to their players and have more energy for their players. He said, I can promise you this is going to be the best thing that's happened to Kentucky basketball for a while. And I said, I'm going to hold you to this. Because if I come out this season highly disappointed, I said, I'm going to hunt you down.
You've been warned, Cameron Mill.
Yeah. And, of course, he was right, and I shouldn't have doubted him.
It just, I think the fan base got so caught up in wanting to make that slam dunk, really splashy, instant win success type of hire, right? Like we were so, like, as a fan base, we are rabid to win the tournament again, win big, win a championship, right? Like we want that so much, and we were like, all right, we're going to throw a brink truck at Danny Hurley. Okay, cool.
And thank goodness that truck didn't make it to the driveway.
It had all 4 flat tires. Thank the Lord, because I mean, okay, Danny, can he coach? Sure. Danny here would have been a train wreck. Like, it would have been a train wreck.
It is one thing to yell at the officials, to have some curse words coming out. It happens. Mm-hmm. And there's one very strong UConn supporter on Twitter, probably Aaron Torres, if you follow him at all.
Oh yes.
Aaron's also a good friend of mine, because I told him, like, dude, he quit trying so hard to support him, because he's like, it's no different than this coach doing that or this coach doing that. And I'm like, it was reported he called the ref a retard. Mm-hmm. That's an issue. He can do all these other things. He can call him a dumb MF. He can call him whatever. But when you go with the retard, that is offensive on a bunch of different levels, and that shows an inability to have any self-control. Don't want it, don't need it. National championship does not excuse that.
Well, that, and then just like him, like kind of like, I think at one point, was he like flailing on the sideline because he was so upset? Like, it was, I don't know. And I think what really grinded my gears about that was the fact that he expected to get a more lenient whistle because he had won back-to-back championships. Like, that, I was like, oh, that's, so you think that you should get it easier because you, okay. Like, that part just really, that just really set me off a little bit. And I was like, no.
Got a lot of Coach K-ism in him.
Wants a special treatment. So.
Yeah. Well, and Shire's not getting that as friendly a whistle. Mm-mm. Even though he does have the second coming of Christ on his team.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't even go there because we're having a nice, pleasant discussion.
We don't want to make it dirty.
Exactly. But yeah, there's a lot of ththings going on, and when I look at the whole landscape of college basketball, I look at the other coaches, I look at the other teams. By the way, Tennessee really hasn't even beat a ranked team yet.
They haven't beat anybody top 25. Nope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, y'all just, never mind.
Don't get myself started, all right?
Yeah,
It'll
but
be all
like I
right.
said, I look at the whole college landscape, and even trying to come back and as objective of an eye as I can have, which albeit not that objective. I do have blue lenses, but when I listen to other people and other fan bases from where we're sitting, Kentucky looks pretty darn good.
I agree with you. I think I do. We have strong backcourt play, right? Like, we can shoot. We have a deep bench as far as players can put in, and they come in and make contributions. Our front court, I love Brayden Garrison. I think he has so much potential, so much upside. It's insane. And if we could just get Amari to check in for a full game, and not kind of check out mentally in the middle of it, I think it'd be good because he is such a big imposing body that he should not be getting pushed around the way he does sometimes.
I think if we could get him to have 3 or 4 of those 4-minute segments, just 4 minutes, you go all out. Then we're going to let you sit down. Then you go back in for another 4 minutes. I think maybe if he had, and I'm not telling Pope how to coach. Don't nobody come at me. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Maybe that would be an effective strategy with him. Maybe that's what gets him going. And for the most part, most of the time we can make free throws. Now we've had 3 games in a row. We're like, what is wrong with you? Although I did find it fascinating with the Gonzaga game, we only missed 3 free throws the entire game. And 2 of them were Andrew Carr at the end. But if you're going to miss 2 free throws, make sure you do the break up the play where they could have had a game-winning shot. So we forgive him for missing those 2.
I do. I forgive him. It's fine. It's fine. All right. This has been a fantastic, very fantastic first episode of BBN Ladies Unleashed. So, Michele, I'll ask you before we wrap this up here and sign off, what is your score prediction and MVP for Cats versus Cards on Saturday?
Okay, let's see. Although I think the Yum Center seemed to be pretty friendly for 3-point shooters as a whole. And we've been a little bit off, so I think our 3-point percentage is going to come back with a vengeance.
Okay.
I say it's going to be 85-76 Cats, and Kobe Bray is due. He is due. I want him for our MVP.
He's due for MVP. You're right. They are playing at Rupp, I think, this weekend.
That's right. That's Rupp. Never mind.
So Rupp, we know it'll be rowdy in there.
We know we can make threes in Rupp, for crying out loud. Yeah.
So I think it'll be rowdy. It'll be crazy. The fan base is definitely looking forward to this game being competitive again. So when I was on 102.7 of the game earlier, I had my final score at 92-77. And I think Oweh is gonna go back to his bulldog ways. I do. I can see him having a big game. I think he creates some problems. I say that no, watch Carr go off, but who knows? It's fine. It's fine. I love watching Oweh play. So that's what I think. I think 92-77, Cats win with Oweh being the MVP.
And in my defense, I tend to go conservative with my score predictions because when I go what I really think, then something bizarre happens and then we have to squeak it out. So I made a conservative prediction for you, Big Blue Nation. This was my contribution to you. Just doing my part.
Michele, we all appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for joining me today on the first episode of BBN Ladies Unleashed.
Hashtag BLU. That would be blue.
Hashtag blue. We have a great group of ladies that are going to sort of rotate in and out here and co-host with me. And, we plan on releasing these every Friday morning. If things change, obviously, I'm a busy mom of 2, so sometimes things might change. But yeah, it'll be available tomorrow. well, sorry, not tomorrow, because it is tomorrow, Friday morning at 8 a.m. On all of your podcasting platforms. So, Michele, again, thank you for joining me. It has been fantastic.
Well, I'm, like I said, excited to see where this journey takes us. And I appreciate you letting me be the one on for the maiden voyage. I can speak. I really can.
All right, BBN. Until next time.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.